Summit in Brussels and his engagements in Morocco, along with some other important national issues. I'll hand you over to the Prime Minister to present.
Thank you very much, members of the media, those who are here and those who are listening online and who may presumably ask questions online if they wish. I am here with Carlos James, the Minister of Tourism and Culture and Sustainable Development and Civil Aviation. I want to report on a few matters in relation to my travel, as you have indicated, my recent overseas visit, and also to speak to a few decisions which were made yesterday at Cabinet, and some matters which will be considered today at Cabinet. And I want to make a number of announcements touching and concerning the youth of this country, in several different dimensions, including additional alteration in governance arrangements, and to speak to the One Family concert and artistic cultural event which will take place on the 1st. Carlos will provide some details. This One Family concert, from emancipation to CARICOM at 50 years old. First, the general public would have seen the communique which was issued by the summit between the European Union and the Community of States of Latin America and the Caribbean. That summit was co-chaired by the President of the European Council, President Charles Michel, former Prime Minister of Belgium, and by yours truly, Ralph, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as the pro tempore President of the Community of States of Latin America and the Caribbean, CELAC. It's a 37 paragraph communique. The declaration which was issued at the end of the summit. The 33 states of CELAC and the 27 states of the European Union agreed on 40. All 60 states agreed on 40 of these paragraphs. One member state did not agree on one paragraph, the paragraph concerning Ukraine. In other words, 59 states agreed on that particular paragraph, but one was constrained to disagree with the way the paragraph was shaped, was worded. Now, in this declaration, there are very important items of direct interest and material benefit to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean, and the other member states of CELAC. They concern, first of all, an emphasis on multilateralism. That is to say, for states to work together, not for a powerful country to provide imperial dictates. This is a document which has nothing about imperialism in it. It doesn't embrace imperialism. It doesn't embrace hegemony. it holds aloft the principles of multilateralism and the fundamental tenets of the Charter of the United Nations as to how to address issues of peace, prosperity, and sustainable development for all. Within that context, the Declaration emphasizes the necessity and desirability for the reform of the global financial architecture, especially of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. And within the context of the reform of the financial architecture, and for more appropriate modes of development financing and increase sums for development financing. Within that context, the approval was given to the broad framework of the Bridgetown Initiative, which was endorsed by CARICOM and endorsed by CELAC at its last summit in Buenos Aires in Argentina when I assumed the presidency of CELAC. Then, this declaration is very strong on arresting climate change. And an important paragraph states, and I will draw your attention to it since you have copies. It expressly reiterates the position of the developed countries to provide $100 billion annually to developing countries for the funding of climate change related activities for adaptation and mitigation, and with a pledge to double the fund for adaptation by 2025. For the first time in any of these documents, there is, that is to say, involving the European Union, there is a paragraph on reparatory justice for the enslavement of African bodies. It reads as follows: "We acknowledge and profoundly regret the untold suffering inflicted on millions of men, women, and children as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. We underline our full support of the related principles and elements contained in the Durban Declaration and Program of Action, including the acknowledgement that slavery and the slave trade, including the transatlantic slave trade, were appalling tragedies in the history of humanity, not only because of their abhorrent barbarism, but also in terms of their magnitude, organized nature, and especially their negation of the essence of the victims, and that slavery and the slave trade are a crime against humanity." CELAC referred to the CARICOM 10-point plan for reparatory justice. I would have liked to see that paragraph even stronger, but in negotiating, you take what you have as a platform on which you can build. But it is the first time that we have entry in a document involving the European Union of such a nature. Now, the important matter of the Caribbean being a zone of peace was recognized, and the efforts towards the achievement of the sustainable development goals, matters touching on the biodiversity and desertification and land degradation, issues touching and concerning small island developing states. The paragraph 23, if you look at it, which it says, "We stress the importance of to fulfill the commitment by developed countries jointly to mobilize promptly US $100 billion per year for climate finance to support developing countries and to double adaptation finance by 2025. I'm reading the language here, which I had summarized for you earlier. And matters concerning research and innovation, education and health. Importantly, the issue of the transition, digital transition and digital transformation, and the European Union, Latin America, Caribbean Global Gateway Investment Agenda, which will address investment gaps in line with the common priorities of the EU and Latin America and the Caribbean to match private and public funding for development. You will see the details when you read this, and I hope that it gets the publicity that it deserves. That is to say, the declaration at the end of the EU-CELAC summit. There were many bilateral meetings which I participated in. I participated in the closing press conference, which involved the President of Argentina and President Michel of the European Council, and of course the head of the European Commission, head of the executive. It is important to note that the Troika +1 for CELAC, a meeting was held, the first time such a meeting for a long time, involving the past PTP pro tempore president, that's Argentina, the current one, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the incoming one, which will be from February next year, Honduras, plus the chair of CARICOM, who is at the moment Roosevelt Skerritt. In relation to my visit to Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco, there is a roadmap of cooperation which has been published, and you have copies. It's on the internet, but copies are being distributed to you here, which covers higher education and training, technical cooperation, fertilizers and soil fertility, security cooperation, financial assistance, and exchange of official visits. Specifically, this memorandum, this roadmap confirms agreements coming out of a visit by officials of the Kingdom of Morocco, which I had referred to earlier in the year. You will see the extent of vocational training, and I met the leadership of the Institute, the Office for Vocational Training and Employment Promotion in Morocco, and we are enlarging even out of that discussion what we have here. Matters on agriculture with training programs, on issues on health and pharmaceuticals and the rest, fisheries, tourism, renewable energy, climate change. Directly for the farmers, we'll get annually now 500 tons of fertilizer, which is up from 150 tons to 500 tons, which we'll distribute to farmers. Soil fertility we will address, and there are two sets of monies, $500,000 for the funding of certain projects. In fact, we want to take monies out of this to begin the process of the design of the Science and Technology Laboratory, which we will attach to the community college, which would develop university, post-secondary and university education in those particular areas. And of course, there's $200,000 grant for equipment for the community college, in particular at the technical and vocational division. Now, in the discussion, which is not inside of this roadmap here, with the foreign minister, we agreed that a delegation will come in October to begin the preparation to establish a consulate here of Morocco, which hopefully will evolve into a full-fledged embassy. And we issued a joint communique. You will see that in paragraph 7, I see a release which has been issued from some source or the other, which didn't quite represent what was agreed in the community. You look at the last bullet point in paragraph 7, where I said that the Prime Minister recognized the autonomy plan initiative presented by the Kingdom of Morocco as a unique solution to solve this regional dispute. I think I saw the publication saying that it was the unique. What we agreed on is a unique. That's what the community says. So I just want to make that point. You may say I may be quibbling over something, but there's a difference. I had a very good discussion with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, Minister of Health, other officials in Morocco. And we are building those relations. Indeed, we are building relations generally with the Arab world, among other countries. And in fact, on early next week, we have officials from the Saudi Fund, the government of Saudi Arabia, who would be coming here to continue discussions. Because remember, the last time when they were here, they said that they want to engage us for further development projects. So when we come to conclusions on some of those, we will talk. No. Yesterday, the cabinet agreed to rebuild the structure and rebuild it better. It was at Brighton Salt Pond belonging to Mr. Elroy Huffles Archer, and to provide appropriate compensation. Already the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, he had undertaken to expand seating at that place, Brighton Salt Pond Beach, through the procurement of 6 picnic benches and table sets, which they're being currently being constructed, and they will be delivered. And that would be in addition to what we'll be doing with the rebuilding. I want to emphasize this was an entirely unauthorized demolition. Indeed, the entity which carried out the demolition does not have authority over that particular facility. That's any orders for those purposes, purely as a narrow technical legal point, should have been the planning authority. And that's why I said from Morocco that the state cannot act like a bandit. And if any official on behalf of the state acts in a manner prejudicial to the common good, and if any official acts in a manner which is entirely unauthorized, the state will take corrective measures. For those who want to apply the falsehood that, oh, Carlos and Camilo knew about it, and it's only because of some outcry. I mean, that's rubbish, absolute rubbish, or that foreigners, some foreign person was going to get down there. Absolute rubbish. Anybody who's talking that saying that they're notorious liars, absolutely notorious liars. Persons with political interest may peddle those lies. But all I can do is to emphasize the truth. And persons have known me all over the years, and I'll complain and talk to you. So that is decision yesterday. Decisions were taken yesterday in respect of the National Agriculture and Feeder Roads Project in relation to technical some appointments and carrying forward that project very much. Decisions were made yesterday concerning the acquisition of certain of 4 properties in the area to rebuild God Save the Queen Bridge at Overland. That project is there to be proceeded with. Then the Cabinet approved the purchase of properties and the relocation of property owners at Sandy Bay for the construction of the coastal sea defense at Sandy Bay. And there were several properties in that regard. Cabinet also approved yesterday the contract to the OECC for a number of roads amounting to $31.78 million. And the minister will say what these roads are. This is over a 24-month period, these particular roads. This is one phase, one set of the projects under the money which we had borrowed from Taiwan. Then yesterday we took a decision to provide an income support package for 237 Arud farmers who are unable to harvest rhizomes in 2023 due to the impact of the volcanic eruption on the delaying of the completion of the Arud factory at Orange Hill. They've been being paid the sum. You remember in 2019, 2020, they were paid the full sum, but this would be a 25% since there was no planting or anything. But to keep them with income support, this is $426,401 in the totality for the 237 farmers. Now, there are some important decisions which are to be taken today at Cabinet. There is going to be, well, let me just talk yesterday. I had a 3-hour meeting. We had a 3-hour meeting with the top brass of the police force, headed by the Commissioner of Police, and a number of matters, practical matters were dealt with. And I assure citizens that they would see, in addition to the existing ramping up works by the police, they will see even further activities. That's all I will say at the moment. We're going to finalize today at Cabinet our decisions in relation to a memorandum of understanding for scholarships offered by Monroe College of St. Lucia. We are going to, there's a memo dealing with the lands concerning the construction of the modern science and technology laboratory up in the French's area. Some land issues there, which we are sorting out. I expect that today also we are going to there's a memo which I have here, wasn't dealt with yesterday, but we dealt with today, which would involve a reduction in the price of LPG. And I'm moving very swiftly through all of these things because I have Cabinet today, but you can ask me questions on On the 3rd, Thursday the 3rd, I will go to Barbados to participate in a high-level emancipation conversation involving 3 persons, a roundtable discussion involving Baba Olusegun Obasanjo, former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a very distinguished leader in Africa, the Most Honorable Percival J. Patterson, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, and the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Some people tell me it's being built as the 3 legends, but I don't want to use that particular formulation. I just say that it's a roundtable discussion on an emancipation conversation, because the month of August is celebrated in Barbados as Emancipation Month. And it's going to be done between the 14th, the season of emancipation celebrated there between up to the 27th of August. And on the 4th, there'll be the opening of the Barbados branch of the Africa Export-Import Bank. I've been asked to be there for that also. So I'll be out for a night on the 3rd to take part in this important conversation. Then I said I'll talk some things about the youth. You see this list? This is a list about youths. Tuition list. We're going to approve nearly 1,000 today. You know what I'm telling you? I told you in the budget that we had put aside $42 million for post-secondary and university education. Yesterday, we approved a raft of persons who have national scholarships, national exhibitions, and bursaries for their specific studies coming up in September, sent to us by the Chief Personnel Office. They had been awarded the scholarship, but we have to give the approval of the specific subjects and the specific schools, because some of them involve some financial arrangements other than that which is provided for the specific areas, particularly some who are going to universities outside of the Caribbean. And that is this today. This is young people. You hear me? And you go through the list. The overwhelming majority are from the sons and daughters of the working people and the peasantry. Inside of here, empowering young people. Remember the days when you could have just count them on 2 hands the number of people who were going away to university? You remember those days? You're lucky if you get them on 2 hands. The national scholarships used to be these. It went to that, then it went to that when we arrived. Didn't fill 1 hand. Now, you know, we gave 70-something last year based on the results. You used to have 100 people, 150 people graduating for community college. It's nearly 700 you had a month ago. I don't want you to listen what people say, you know. I want you to take your own 2 eyes and watch. Just like how the Hebrew Bible urged that we must do. And this is a project which this government did initiate. These applications for the set. This is what the public servants sent to us. They're going to be approved today. There are going to be hundreds of them. These are young people again. And while I'm on the issue of young people, I want to make the cabinet, before I left, and I was waiting to make the announcement, took the decision to establish the Prime Ministerial Advisory Council on Youth up to the age of 35, sorry. I announced today the chair of that Advisory Council on Youth, Mr. Anson Latchman, who happens to be 27 years old. He's a budget analyst, a former national scholar, cricketer, national cricketer, a young man who has come from the bowels of the working people in the rural area of this country. There is going to be a core, and we have the names. I wouldn't announce the names today when we have a launch before the end of August. Other persons, and we are having separate chairpersons for each of the following sectors: the professions, agriculture, culture, sports, education, health, IT, tourism, fisheries, climate change, housing, grenadines, creative industries, business and entrepreneurship, labor, and the media. Other sectors may well be added. In other words, the Advisory Council will consist of a core plus the chair of these bodies, so it will be over 20 persons. And in the governance arrangement, there are going to be some alterations. Senator Bala will sometime in the month of August demit his office as senator, and the job which previously was held by Elson Crick, Director of Communications, will be held by Mr. Bala, popularly known as Pitbull. And we are very pleased to announce that Ms. Shakel Bob, I will advise appropriately the Governor General at the appropriate time when all the arrangements is made in relation to Mr. Bala. Shakel Bob, I will advise Her Excellency the Governor General to have her appointed as a senator and as parliamentary secretary to have oversight in the office of the Prime Minister in respect of this Prime Ministerial Advisory Council, which would link between the Prime Minister's office and the youth. She will have other duties too, but this would be a central duty of hers. A 30-year-old lawyer, a mother, a young lady who has already distinguished herself in all activities that she has engaged, and comes from the bowels of the working people, from the Maracaibo Valley. Another child of the education revolution. And I repeat, I am very honored and pleased and blessed to have been someone who have worked with the generation above me. Sir Vincent Beach, Sir James Mitchell, worked with persons of my generation, molding the generation below me. Camilo, Carlos, Saboto, and then, for example, Orlando Brewster and so on, and then go into the generation even below that one now, the generation of Camilo. Well, Orlando is the generation below too. To go to Benava Brown, and now Shakel. Shakel is 30 years old. By 2050, she would be 47 years old. In other words, we're dealing with the leadership into the second half of the 21st century. What a fantastic blessing that the good Lord has expressed to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has given to Comrade Ralph. Not many persons have had that blessing, and I thank Almighty God and the people for that particular blessing. come now to speak to the issue which Carlos will talk about. In the context of all what I've been talking about, education and culture and the youth, and emancipation and CARICOM, the integration movement. The state is sponsoring a concert. Well, let's call it, it's more than a concert. It's a series of commemorative activities involving a concert as the centerpiece. We're commemorating Emancipation Day, August the 1st, 1838. The journey from there to CARICOM, 50 years of CARICOM. And this activity will involve food and design. It would involve craft, and it would involve very much music. We're going to have artists from Jamaica, like Luciano and Jamil, and Prophet Benjamin and Aishasha from Trinidad, and Alison Hines and John King from Barbados, and Talpri from Grenada, reflecting the CARICOM focus, this family of ours. And our local artists, it's Fireman Hooper and Skinny Fabulous and Fire Empress and Chanel Mackenzie and Bomani and Hans John and JR and Just Boss and Grabber Finesse and Alston Beckett Cyrus and Starlift Steel Orchestra and the National Drum Foundation. And we will have, the concert will include segments and storylines like, you know, the matters involving our folk, raga soca, carnival, the all elements of love and upliftment in culture and the arts. It's being supported by the National Lotteries, the Bank of St. Vincent and Grenadines, the National Sport Authority, CWSA, National Properties, and the central government, including facilities from the Carnival Development Corporation. And it will take place at Victoria Park, and it will be free. It will start about 2 o'clock, Carlos. And you will talk the details. I just want to say this. There are certain things we have to celebrate and commemorate. Things which touch our spirit and our soul. And it happens, this was being planned before you had the recent incident involving the killings. Now, we come into one as a family. We come in, it takes even greater importance. We come in as one, as a family, and we're telling criminal elements, we are stronger than you. You're a tiny group. We will not allow that cancer upon the society to prevail. That we are in solidarity with one another for peace and love and solidarity and faith and fresh hope for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are at a time of despair, and using the genius of our people as expressed in culture and the arts to lift ourselves higher. Now there are elements who are not reached in our society, who you cannot reach with words, who who don't listen to the radio station, who don't listen to who don't read online newspapers, who don't read any of the three newspapers in the print journalism, but who will listen to music and the arts.
Let me talk to my people.
And to help all of us in lifting our lives, our living, and our production. I want to say this. Fresh leadership is also coming for the National Commission on Crime Prevention. We're going to have, I'm hoping, a young, vibrant person as the head of the National Commission on Crime Prevention. I want to thank the former head who has just retired. She did a song job. We have to carry it in other directions now. And we have to use sports and culture and a lot of engagement with young people more than we have done before to reach those who hitherto have not been easily reached, and to bring them onto a path of productive life, and to keep them away from those who have chosen a life of crime. Those who have decided that they're going to make crime their principal occupation. And for those who they may suck into their orbit, to let them understand that there are great opportunities in education and training through the education revolution, and through this YES and the SET and the PRIME and the on-site program, in the new initiatives in fisheries and in agriculture and in tourism, and all the jobs that await with all this expanse of activities taking place, including in the construction. And I just want to say this, the construction industry. I don't know how many of you read the Gazette. The Gazette of June the 13th has notices for construction, to construct a new commercial building, showroom in Montrose, to construct an addition to existing multiple family residence in Sion Hill, to construct an addition to the existing residential commercial building at Richmond Hill, for a commercial building apartment at Ratto Mill, to construct addition to an existing single family multifamily residence at Argyle, to construct a new multifamily residence at Sion Hill B, to erect a boardwalk in Ratto Mill, to construct an addition to an existing commercial residential building in Clay Valley. That's one. I want you to construct for the new institutional building for a school at Golden Vale. This is from St. James School of Medicine. Just read them, and dozens. I'm just giving you some. All of them. You'll see what is happening. I'm telling you. Follow your eyes. What is happening in this country. And don't worry about the naysayers who want to pull down St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Those who can't stand the fact that they have been out of office There have been 25 years in the opposition. Make men brain idle, you know. It's a long jail sentence, metaphorically speaking. And when you see the prospect, you're going to get another long period. This morning is not for me to talk politics. But I address in a summary form all the issues. And today, among other things, let's celebrate the young people. Productive young people. Not a tiny, tiny minority who want to create some kind of a confusion or mayhem. No. We're on the right path, and dissonances we will handle through the genius of our people and the institutions of the state administration. Carlos, you want to talk a little bit about your event?
Thank you, Prime Minister. Good morning to members of the media, those who are listening on all of the various platforms and the radio stations. As the Prime Minister indicated, we have designated August the 1st, which is, as we know, Emancipation Day, and celebrated as a national holiday here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as the date where we embark on the celebration of not just emancipation, but also from where we were to move into CARICOM 50th anniversary celebration as a people and as a region. And before I go into that, I just want to say that this government has started the process of re-energizing and investing in our youth, and particularly our cultural and creative economy. And you will note from the last sitting of the Parliament, we allocated $10 million for the construction of cultural hubs across the northeast and the northwestern side of the country, in Bellevue and Peterborough and in Tromuka. And we also signaled the government's intention to construct another cultural hub, which will be the mega hub at the existing commercial port in Kingston when we relocate that port to further downtown. So part and parcel, a part of the big thrust that we're putting an investment in our creative economy. It's a $500 billion industry globally, and we are carving our space within that aspect in terms of St. Vincent and the Grenadines' investment in the creative economy. This event on August 1st is an embodiment of that, an investment in our youth. A lot of the performances and the production teams and all of the local artisans will be fully immersed for the display of the Vincentian and our CARICOM colleagues and the region. They have started rehearsals for a few weeks now, and going into 2 a.m. at mornings and back at 7:30 at mornings, rehearsing to ensure that we have a very wonderful production to showcase on August 1st. As the Prime Minister indicated, we have identified some artists from the region. North in Jamaica, Luciano and Jamil will be coming with their full backing band. And we go south to Trinidad, where we'll have Isasha and a few of the other artists coming in, Prophet Benjamin. And across the pond, we have from Barbados, Alison Hines will be coming over. Talpri from Grenada.
John King coming?
And John King as well from Barbados will be coming to be a part of that. And of course, our local acts, the Prime Minister outlined the cast. We have published the number of the names, but we're talking the year of Pose and Beckett will be featuring, and moving from that point to James P. Kevin Little, internationally renowned Kevin Little, to the period of Fireman Hooper and of course Skinny Fabulous, and the emerging youth, Just Bus Camp, and a number of other young persons, Grabber Finesse, who will all showcase and JR, who will also showcase their creativity. Importantly, we have a massive production from all of the dance companies have joined forces, a 30-strong dance contingent, will be displaying a number of creative aspects, not just of our local Vincentian culture, but also the regional display of the creativity of the Caribbean islands. That will be on full display, of course, along with the Drum Foundation, a number of the creatives who are part of the Drum Foundation across the entire country. The event starts at 2 p.m. with a kids fair, and we're ensuring that it's a full family event, as it's dubbed, One Family. And so we're asking the parents and the children to come out from 2 p.m. where we have a kids fair, which will run until about 5 when we start the official event on the day itself. So from 5 p.m. we're expecting to see the start of the actual event on Stateside, and will run likely into 10, 11 that evening. But it's a very packed, tight production, and we're encouraging persons, particularly the public transportation system, the van men. It's a holiday, but we're encouraging you to put on your transportation so we can get people coming to and from Victoria Park on August 1st, because we're hoping to have a full cultural celebration.
The culinary arts would also be on display.
And of course we'll have the gastronomy being featured, and persons who are part of that. So we'll have food, we'll have drinks, we'll have the creatives and craft and so on will be on display on August 1st. So we're encouraging persons to come out. It's a full family event, fun day for the children, starting from 2 p.m. and at 5 we start the full stateside activities for persons. So we're encouraging persons, the public transportation system, to come out, and let's bring Vincentians to Victoria Park for the event. Okay, thank you.
I just want to make one additional announcement. The cabinet has decided on an entirely new slate of persons for the National Reparations Committee to be upgraded to a National Reparations Commission. I'll just name the chairman at the moment for the time being. The others, the formal launch is Mr. Adrian Odle will chair. I think persons know him. He's a lawyer. He lectures at the community college. He's very connected to young people and the issues touching and concerning reparatory justice. I had a conversation with him, in fact more than one conversation, as to where we'd like to see this go. And you will see a lot of fresh names in this body when it is formally announced. So you notice that there's an entire package of things, from the grassroots right to the levels of governance, with young people. Oh, what a joyful time. Yes, you may have questions.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Kenton Chancellor.
Morning, Kenton.
And the Caribbean Media Corporation. I want to ask a few questions about this issue of Brighton Beach.
Yes.
You said that the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority has no jurisdiction over that beach. Which state entity does?
The Ministry of Agriculture is the ministry normally which will deal with beaches which are not directly under the national parks and beaches, and that the authority there for the destruction of anything would be the planning board of physical planning board of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The constructions or the erections on the beach, or the decorations,
Had the support of the cabinet of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
did they ever come to the attention of the cabinet regarding possible demolition or adjustments?
Absolutely not. Let me say something to you, Kenton. There's a fellow who went down there, I wouldn't call his name, who said to Huffles sometime before, He said, you see those red tents you have and those blue tents and the yellow tents? The blue tents and the yellow tent can stay because they are part of national colors. You see that red one, you have to knock it down. You have to take it down. There's a fellow who didn't like any red at all. I don't know what he has. I don't know if he'd be against his blood. Because I read.
Is this a state employee?
A state employee. I'm not calling his name. And I'm not saying that he had anything to do with this. I don't want anybody to join. I'm not saying that he doesn't have either. He didn't have anything to do with it either. In fact, there was even a red flag. He said, I had to go too. Huffles pointed out. Huffles said, but that flag they relate to indicate persons who coming in with their, who go in there to with any boat or anything like that. There's a danger. You know, there are a lot of things I don't talk about, you know. But I'm glad you asked me, Kenton. I spoke on my way from Casablanca to Marrakesh on the road. I spoke to Huffles and his wife. By the way, all Huffles said he wants, you know. Man, then we have, give me some more, some board and so on. We can fix up back, we could put up back the thing. I say, absolutely not. The state will rebuild it. And we'll rebuild it better. In fact, Camilo has already engaged one of the architects down in the Ministry of Economic Planning to deal with this matter and discussing concepts and so on. In the meanwhile, I think a couple of the benches is going to be delivered soon. Look, people enjoy that place. You remember I said, Kenton, on the radio, I said, when I see the attack on the Cubans, when I see the attack on the, when I see the knocking down at, with Huffles, this down at Brighton Beach, when I see these killings, when I saw the night, when I'm in Casablanca, when I arrive in Morocco, and then people begin to, sources, fellas saying, oh, they're shooting up in Fairborn, in there, about 5, 6, 8, 10 places. People want to create confusion. The commissioner had to put a stop to that by putting out a statement saying nothing like that is happening. I'm a man, I understand history. And I know what some persons do when they want to destabilize. I see it happen elsewhere. And it didn't pass my notice that before I left and went to Europe and to Morocco, there were foreign political operatives which came into this country, not aligned to the government or to the Unity Labour Party. I'm saying each of those events which I mentioned are discrete events, and they may have their own proximate or root cause. But is it a coincidence? Was there any gingering up by some force? Other? And I'm choosing my words very carefully. But I tell you this, I'm alive to all of it. Just, I want the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines to know that I'm alive to all of it. And by the way, sometimes they say the last kick of a dying jackass is sometimes the most dangerous one you have to look for. You notice how Europe and the European Union and the UK clamping down on selling of passports and selling of citizenship. And who those elements financing St. Vincent and the Grenadines? I'm alive to all of it.
Prime Minister, on that point about foreign, quote-unquote, foreign operatives, how do you respond to the point that you're raising questions when, as Minister of National Security, these are issues on which you would be briefed and in a position to prescribe appropriate policy and decisions to counter?
Why do you think I tell you I'm alive to everything? What's going on? I'm alive to it. But I wouldn't tell you and tell anybody, Kempton. What are the responses by the state? And we will act properly through all the legitimate, the legal institutions of the state. And I will also act politically, which is a form of human activity. And you know I'm good at that. I have 5 elections victory under my belt.
Okay, so going back to the issue of the incident at Brighton Salt Pond, has the government spoken to the National Parks and Rivers, which is an authority, about the demolition?
I haven't spoken to them. I don't know if the minister who is responsible for it, Carlos, is here, whether Carlos has spoken to them or what is happening. I believe that what you do, we just watch over the next few days and weeks,
But,
and we will see what would happen down at Brighton.
but I'm a little baffled by that because the government is saying that this wasn't authorized. You're saying that you would offer compensation to to General Hufford, that it would rebuild this stuff. But I don't know if Minister James is in a position to tell us.
But why are you baffled?
No,
Tell me the source. Tell me the source of your bafflement, Kenton. I have spoken with clarity.
If you permit me, Prime
Well, that's why I ask you.
What I'm simply asking is that there is this development. The government is saying it's unauthorized.
Absolutely.
It knows nothing about it.
Absolutely.
You're saying to me it took place more than a week ago, but well, I don't know if Mr. James hasn't spoken, that you have not inquired of National Parks and Rivers.
I have not.
Asked, why was this done?
I have not. Well, Kenton, people act in unauthorized ways for all kind of reasons. Sometimes it might be under misapprehension of something, ranging from that to straight malice. I don't know in the continuum from 0 to 10, from misapprehension to malice. All I know, it was unauthorized. The minister did not authorize it. The chairman of the board did not authorize it. The board did not authorize it, the Board of National Parks. National Parks didn't have the authority to break it down. These are things which I can speak with absolute certainty. The minister told me he did not authorize it. The permanent secretary didn't know about it.
Are the minister's right there? Maybe he could tell us.
Well, he can tell you, but he will tell you the same thing what I just tell you. So I want to know what is the source of your bafflement. Did I not speak with clarity?
What I'm asking, Prime Minister, is to the extent that this happened.
Well, I answer you.
The government has said that they did not authorize it. The government asked National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority, on what basis was this done?
Okay. Well, I didn't ask them. Well, that is the question which you now ask, but you said
But
that.
that's the same question I asked.
No. You said that they said that there was a bafflement in you, and I wanted to know what is the source of the
And I
bafflement.
said that was what I was baffled about.
No, there's nothing to be baffled about it. All you have to ask is whether Carlos or anybody in the government asked National Properties, and Carlos could answer that. But there's the bafflement sounded that there was some agenda other than the question.
We could always listen to the recording, Prime Minister.
Kenton, quite frankly, the actions were unauthorized, and the state will do their necessary investigation and act accordingly on the basis of those findings.
And have you, as Minister with responsibility for National Parks and Rivers and Beaches Authority, asked what was the basis on which they acted?
There are reports being compiled at the moment.
Have you asked? That's the question.
There are reports, and in the report, we will have those information.
Minister James, the question
If you've asked of the persons in charge at national parks to provide reports on the incident, it is clearly the same thing. You're asking as to which authorization have you been given to demolish the property. But I will say this, the state will act accordingly, and you will see, as the Prime Minister indicated, in a few weeks as it relates to that.
Okay, and Prime Minister, regarding the shooting in Kingston, the mass shooting in Kingston,
Yes,
has
Kenton.
anyone been arrested? Has the weapon or weapons that are believed to have been used in the killings confiscated, and the vehicle that left the scene shortly after, has it been taken
Well,
into custody?
Let me start with the last. I understand that there is a vehicle which is in the possession of the police, which matches a description which the police have. I'm not going to comment on individual bits of evidence because that is not my role, and actually it would be wrong for me to do so. In relation to, I have not been informed by the police up to yesterday when I spoke to them whether anybody has been formally arrested for anything pertaining to that incident, or that they have found any weapons. The investigation is in its early stages. The police is carrying out the investigation. I was given information yesterday broadly as to the structure which they've set up and who lead in what, and the assistance which they're securing from authorities in Canada and also from the regional security system. Well, we have always been in touch with the regional security system. We are part of that, and on an ongoing basis, technical advice has been provided. So that's where the story is as far as I, as Minister of National Security, could relate to you, Kenton. You'd appreciate that the Commissioner would have told me many things which I cannot speak about, which indeed he wouldn't speak about in any audience other than to tell the Minister of National Security. There may be general things which we'll talk about, as he talked about publicly, about all the steps which we are doing, searches of homes, stop and search on the road, and so on and so forth.
Just one final question, Prime Minister. The land at Bright on which these items were erected and from which they were removed, who owns that? Is it public land? Or
As far as I'm aware, where they were is property belonging to the state. As far as I'm aware, nobody has told me anything to the contrary. I understand that where they threw this stuff, is lands belonging to a private owner. In fact, I was informed, and I'm not going to tell you who informed me, that people went down and who did demolition. They said they wanted to chop trees, trim trees now. And Huffles is a very generous man. He was cooking pilau. Fellas eat the Shuffles pilau and then say, well, no, we got to break down this thing, you know.
I think we have another question. I'm not representing media or anything here. It's just a matter of information. Prime Minister, this matter of this $100 billion that you mentioned in Declaration on paragraph 23 from the meeting. This matter was brought up at a meeting, I think, in Trinidad in 2009 sometime, about the same $100 billion for developing countries.
Yes. What?
What is the difference now with the promise?
No, well,
now?
okay. In 2009, at a meeting of the Conference of Parties under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, when they couldn't agree on certain things, the U.S. delegation at the time, headed by Hillary Clinton, just throw out this thing, $100 billion a year. So they sign on to it. That from 2020 it will come flowing. Well, no money has come. None. None of that money. Well, now we have been putting pressure. Where is that money? So the European Union is saying now that we will work urgently with other developed countries to make sure that that money is now raised so that developing countries will get it. And we will also, we're making a pledge that this money for adaptation will be doubled by 2025. Because you see, I had reported on the radio when I came back, I don't know if people heard me. I said, I heard the head, Professor Stern, with the UN, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, said in Paris, the meeting which I went to last month. Mia was there also, and the president of Haiti. The three CARICOM heads were there. Said that it will take between now and 2030 $5.5 trillion. $5.5 trillion to address appropriately man-made climate change in all the dimensions to keep the temperature down below 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. So when you see place rising at the sea level rising and mashing up Sandy Bay and Georgetown and so on and so forth, we don't have anything, we don't contribute anything to that. But that is happening. I have to find the money. I have to borrow the money. Borrow money from CDB, for instance. Borrow money from other places. And you have people say, we're all doing about that. But I go to meeting to raise money to address the same thing. Let me tell you, in 2017 at the OECS, check the record. 2017, I think it was, at a OECS assembly in Antigua. We had a resolution being debated, a motion being debated on climate change. Friday was representing the opposition from St. Vincent. I was completely flabbergasted to hear the man say that he understood now for the first time the importance of this thing called climate change. 2017, And you know how long people talking about climate change and writing about it? Since the 1890s. But the rest of the world, people weren't paying much attention. People started to pay attention from the 1960s and 70s. Rachel, what's her last name? Silent Spring is the name of the book. Rachel Carson. In the 1960s, people. And sensible people writing about this thing. A man seeking high office in this land, 2017, he understands for the first time. These fellas are in a state of unknowing. That's when you see why I was talking in the last parliament and speaking in detail, and yet they wanted to hurry me. I tell them, they say talk that already. I say, well, you go hear it again. And they will hear it again and again.
But he did say one time once he picked them up climate change dreaming, for instance.
Yeah. Well, that's the level of ignorance. And fellas want double down. Imagine you want double down on passports, selling passports and citizenship, and you're being cut off from your knee. You know what that is about? Men don't want to lose money from the passport people to help the politics. And you hear my tongue sharper on that issue than before. Thanks. I appreciate it.